Hey guys, this is Andy McCann and Evie McCann, and we are the hosts of today's podcast here on the CrossFit Garage podcast, where we are trying to help you build a firm foundation in fitness, food, and finances. And today we're actually going to go down finances, specifically college, how to get into it, what should you be doing, and it's our experiences. So no, I'm not a paid professional. I've just got 4 kids that have gone through this route. I did it like 30 years ago, and stuff has changed. And want to make sure you guys at least hear some of the things that we have seen, and maybe it'll influence your kids to do one thing or another, or help you make some choices. I hope it helps somebody, but I would say this: get the best education you can, because you can always dumb it down. It's hard to get a worse education and then try to go big. It is possible, but it's tough. All right, so Evie and I are actually on our way to see Olivia at Auburn. Dads, I'm going to tell, well, actually, maybe it's just parents in general. I'm going to tell you this, man. I'm not very good at being human, and I know that. But when your daughter at college says, yes, come down and see me, and then your other daughter says, hey, I'm on school break, and I'd love to go down with you, you say yes to everything. You rearrange your schedule, and you make it happen. And this podcast, which might have been on your computer with great audio, is now in a car where you hear car noises. And you know what? That's just the way it is. It's okay. I get to see my daughter, I get to hang out with my other daughter, and I get to make a podcast here in the car. So it's not I have to, change your wording, it's I get to. All right, so I think the big thing that I'm going to lead off with, and Evie, you can let me know if you think this is true. It doesn't really matter where you go. It's going to matter who you know and how hard you work. So if you go to, let's take engineering. I think I'm not going to make anybody cry crocodile tears if I say in Georgia, the best engineering school you can go to is Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Okay, so valid?
Yeah.
She's down with that. I would say, at a guess, I don't really know the facts here, but I'm just going to say, especially with reputation, it's going to be the second one is probably UGA.
Yeah, probably. Well,
Based on if it's harder to get into, it's harder to get into UGA. I don't know, right? So I'm going to go with that. And then the second one, or third one, is going to be KSU. I don't know that for 100% certainty, because I know KSU picked up Southern Polytech, and I've known some kids that went there, and they're making pretty good money. So yeah. I'm just going to go based on, hey, what do your ACT scores need to be to get into these schools? Now, if your kid goes to Georgia Tech, yeah, they're going to do great. Doing STEM program, man, they're going to make some good money. They're going to have good times. It's going to be awesome. Well, the college may be tough, but they're going to make good money. Your kid goes to UGA, doing the same thing. Let's say they all are going to go to college for electrical engineering. They're going to come out, they're going to get a good job, they're going to make some good money, and they're going to be able to stack that cash and put it in good places. KSU, same thing. I really don't think it's going to matter too much. Now, on the top end kid, sure. You're going to get, I know we've got friends from Fellowship Christian, and their kid is at Georgia Tech, got a scholarship or an opportunity to work for Google or maybe Cisco.
It was an internship.
Internship, that's it, yeah.
Like a paid internship with Cisco, I think.
That's it. And Evie may sound a little bit off. She just had her wisdom teeth out. And so she's got chipmunk cheeks. But that's right. She got a paid internship for the summer to go out to either Cisco or Google or one of those in California. And she was making something like $120,000 a year, but it was only for 2 months of the summer. So yeah, that is pretty awesome. There's going to be, on your bell-shaped curve, you're going to have some extremes, one side or the other. Some kids are going to get kicked out. Some kids are going to do awesome. Let's just take that medium, like, hey, the average kid is going to do pretty good, right? So potentially on electrical engineering, you're going to come out with a job making $80,000 at Georgia Tech. Maybe $77,000 at UGA and $72,000 at KSU. All within a decent range. And really what's going to happen is it's going to matter what you do after that first job, because nobody cares where you went to college really, or what you did, once you expose yourself to how awesome you are at your first job. So kids, if you're listening to this, if your parents made you listen, it really does matter to do your chores and understand how to do these things and get things done and think and do. If you always just look stuff up or you're always just scrolling, then you're doing yourself a huge disservice. Okay, that being said, I've got one kid, Olivia. She is at Auburn. That's where we're going right now. She chose chemical engineering. Go girl. I've got Evan, who's at UGA doing computer science. I got Levi, who's been accepted to UGA and will probably do computer science. And then Evie is a freshman doing the STEM program at Fellowship Christian.
Yep.
I love it. She's just throwing in a little bit of commentary. All right. So the question becomes, the first one is, do I have to work my butt off to get into a prestigious school? Evie, what do you think?
No. I mean, well, if you want to go to a prestigious school, you have to work your butt off to get there, but I don't think you have to go.
Okay, so she's saying you don't necessarily have to go to Yale or Harvard or whatever.
Yeah.
You can make this thing work out pretty good for yourself at a local school.
Yeah. Also, I feel like Yale and Harvard are more like doctory and like lawyery. I feel like if you want to be an engineer, I would just go to like if you want to just do STEM, I would just go to like a UGA or something like that. Or like
Sure.
Tech.
Yeah. I mean, Georgia Tech, UGA, KSU, great schools. There's some other ones that I'm leaving off the list, but we're just going to use those as our 3 schools. Here's what I'm saying as a dad: you can't go wrong in either place. I think you're going to do quite well if you apply yourself. So, parents, don't stress. Kids, don't stress. But let's talk about who got into what. So there is a thing called, if I butcher the wording, let me know, but I think it's called early action.
Yeah.
Yep. So the kids can apply to a school super early, like in August, and then know if they made it into the school by like September or October. Is that right? Something
yeah.
like that. Now, it doesn't mean you have to accept. You can wait until May to accept. So you could apply to multiple schools. So all of my kids apply to a bunch of schools, and you either get the acceptance or they give you a deferral or they tell you no. Now, here's the problem. If you get told no, then you're not going to be able to apply later on. Is that right?
Yeah.
So you don't want to get kicked out of the program. Now, we're going to talk about some tricks and things you can do to actually make it into the college that you want. Applying for a summer school rather than a fall school, and doing a couple other things. We'll get to those. All right. So I think the biggest question, if you're in high school, becomes how rigorous do I need to make the program in order to get into whatever college? Yeah? What do you think, Evie? If you're doing on level, are you going to Georgia Tech?
No. You have to do, I mean, it depends. I mean, if you can't, I would just do like the hardest thing you can do to like keep an A and like not like have to like die to have an A, you know, just like something that you actually have to work at and like do.
So put some time and some effort into it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so if you're putting time and effort into your school and on levels where it's at, well, probably Georgia Tech is not in your future.
Yeah.
I think the way it works in most schools is if you take honors and you get let's say you're getting an A, they're going to give you a 0.5 bump. So instead of getting a 4.0 in that class, you're going to get a 4.5 in that class. And then if you take DE, which is dual enrollment, it's like a 4.75 or something, so they bump it a bit. And if you take an AP class, advanced placement, they give you a whole point. So instead of getting a 4 for an A, you get a 5 for an A. Now, not every college cares. Some of them take away that weighting, which you're going to have to find out who does what. I know this. This is a fact. We saw this work. Olivia took 8 AP and DE classes. I have to go look up the mixture. I think it was 7 AP and 1 DE.
I think she took more DE than.
Was it? So maybe it was 6 and 2?
It was something.
And she did early applications to several schools, and she got deferred
from
at
Georgia.
UGA, but then later on got accepted. And she got immediately accepted at Auburn, which has much more opportunity to apply. They have something called a rolling application, so you can keep applying, or you can apply at any time, and they'll let you know. Auburn plays a game where there is a Common App you can fill out, and for $50, you can just send it to any college you want. And Auburn takes like 1 million of them or something. So they're making 50 million. I don't know how many they take. They take a lot, but they're making, I did the math one time. I think they're making like 25 or 250,000 or something massive. Maybe it was 2.5 million on applications alone, based on what the lady said on the applications they took. So they play the game of give us your application. We want your application money. I don't know how that's split up, but that is definitely a racket in a game. So Olivia got immediate acceptance into UGA. She got immediate acceptance into Auburn, got deferred from UGA, but then did get accepted. She wanted to do chemical engineering, which they don't have at UGA. So,
so she came to Auburn.
She went all in into Auburn.
At the time, like, I think Auburn did have like a slightly better like engineering track than UGA. for like
Possibly.
what she wanted.
Well, they didn't have chemical engineering at all.
Well, used to.
And I don't think she applied to Georgia Tech at all. So my wife and I both went there, and we actually tell our kids, don't go there, it's too hard. I don't think that's, I just don't think the stress of that is needed. Now, they probably could, and maybe I'm damaging them, but I don't think so. I think after seeing what I saw in the business world, nobody cares where you went after you did your time, and you show them that you can work hard. Kids, work hard. If you're the guy who's showing up late and leaving early, yeah, you're not going to go far. You need to be the person who shows up early and stays late. You want to be the guy that the boss actually hands you a key to the building because you're staying so long, at least at the beginning. When you have a family, that needs to change. But work hard at the beginning and then work smart and hard, I guess. Work smarter later on. Okay. So then Evan had, Olivia had 8. I think Evan had 9 AP and DE credits. I think it was still 2 DE, so the rest were AP. He got accepted, early acceptance into UGA and into Auburn, and got deferred from Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech has, what?
He didn't follow up his Georgia Tech thing. So
That's right.
He doesn't actually know if he would have gotten in or not. But.
So there's something we didn't know that I would love for you guys to know, that the application process isn't done once
You're
you
deferred.
get deferred, at least for some colleges. You need to do more work. So Georgia Tech asked Evan in an email, which kids are not checking their email like us parents. So he didn't actually really know to go look, which is his fault and mine for not really caring.
Well, he didn't really want to go in the first place.
True.
He kind of just wanted to see if he would get in.
That's true. So he did not finish the application, but he did get computer science at UGA, and so he stayed. Now here's something for everyone to consider as well. Olivia has a scholarship for a SMART scholarship. What do you call that? Just a scholastic scholarship?
She's in like the
honors program.
Honors program.
Yep. So she got a scholarship for having good grades and an ACT score or whatever, so that we get a bit of a discount.
Yep.
But I still pay $15,000 a semester just for the schooling portion. That doesn't include housing and food and all that stuff. For Evan, using the Zell Miller scholarship, which is part of the HOPE program or something. So you got HOPE and then you got Zell. Zell pays for more. The Zell Miller program, I only pay $1,500 a semester. So it is a massive difference. I would suggest everyone stay in state if you can. Had I known that, I probably would have pushed Olivia a little bit harder to stay in state. I thought it would be closer because really Auburn is just over the line. Anyway, so he took 9 AP and DE classes. 2 of them I think were DE, and got into both of those schools easy and got deferred from Georgia Tech and didn't follow up. Levi took 10, well, I guess he hasn't finished yet, but he will have taken 10 AP and DE classes. I think 2 of them, again, are DE. And he worked harder to get more AP, knowing that it would help. He also had, what did he get on his ACT, a 34?
Yeah.
So I think...
Was it cumulative or just one?
Super score. No, he had a super score of 34. Evan had 33 and Olivia 32.
No, I think
Evan had a 33.
Evan had a 32 and Olivia had a 31, I think.
Is that what it was? Okay.
I think so.
So we'll double check that, but they're pretty high scores. So they all did the ACT and they took it a couple times. I would recommend taking it a couple times, taking a few classes. Figure out if you are better, if your kid does better on the SAT or the ACT. I think that's important because they care a lot what your grades are. So having a above a 4.0 is great. Having as close to a 4.0 as you can get is awesome. But if your ACT score is trash, let's say you get like a 15, then it's not really going to matter all that much. They're going to you're just going to be popped out of their matrix. So I spoke to Scott Curley, who works at Kennesaw, and he said the decision matrix for getting acceptance is pretty much mathematical. It's like, hey, what are your grades? What are your test scores? And then we look at other stuff. There is an essay that they have to write, so maybe have somebody that actually knows how to write, look at their essay, make sure they wrote it well.
Yeah.
But it's going to be grades and then their test scores. So take the most rigorous courses you can, and I would aim yourself to taking more STEM stuff because you can always drop down. The story that I like to tell is one of my younger sisters said, I'm either going to be a park ranger or I'm going to go be a geologist. And not that she really took my advice, but I remember saying...
Did she? Well, yes, she did.
Well, maybe. I mean,
she's in school still.
Right, but it couldn't have been my advice. It could have just been like something else.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I said it. I don't know if she did it because I said it, but my thought back then was, you can go to school and be a geologist and then become a park ranger. But if you go to UGA to be a park ranger, because they actually have that degree, you can never be a geologist unless you go back to school. So she got her geology degree, and now she's actually back at college getting her, she went to Penn State for the first degree, and now she's in, Oklahoma, somewhere in Oklahoma. I'm forgetting the name. Sorry, Justine. And anyway, so now she's getting her doctorate in geology. So she has gone big time. Get as much education as you can possibly get. You can always go down. I did electrical engineering, and then I went into telecom sales. I was a sales engineer, so I had to know the engineering, but I also needed to know how to sell stuff, which I didn't. And so I had a boss back then, Bruce Hembry, who would teach you what you needed to know and how you needed to do it. And the guy was fantastic. As a matter of fact, we have a member at the gym who just started with us, and his boss's boss is Bruce Hembry. So it's kind of funny. We actually know the same guy and sort of work for him. So back then, 30 years ago, he was just the boss. Now he's the boss's boss's boss. But he's an awesome guy. Anyway, they would have taught you. So you had to know a little bit of engineering, you had to know a little bit of sales, and hiring someone out of Georgia Tech was probably the wrong thing to do. But they did. They took a chance on me. And I found out after that they hired almost exclusively electrical engineers out of other colleges. And after hearing their stories and knowing we're all working for the same place, I thought, man, that's stupid. Why'd I work so hard? Anyway, you do need to work hard. Yeah?
Yep.
So, kids, if you're thinking, well, I'm either going to go for an English degree or an engineering degree, man, go for the engineering degree. It pays better. There's a lot more jobs offering that. Most people don't want to do engineering, and they don't want to do the hard thing. I'm telling you, do the hard thing.
Like, if you get an English degree, like, what can you even, like, do? You know, there's not a lot of, like, I don't even know what I would do with an English degree.
That's a very good question. And look, I'm going to say something that's very unpopular. If you're going to go to school to get a history degree, I'm not even sure what you're going to school for. Mm-hmm. People these days are like, you can't say that. I just said it. You can cancel me. I got like 8 people that listen to our podcast. No, I was just kidding. It's actually a lot more. It's like some of the episodes are downloaded up in the 300s. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, pretty crazy. But
that's crazy.
Don't go to school for something that anybody could just go out and do. Now, you could say, well, Andy, couldn't you just learn to be a computer programmer? Yeah, you could. I know a guy who started his own IT business, and he's self-taught. It's possible. But ChatGPT is kind of ruining all these writing degrees. I don't know. It's going to be like, it is going to be tough to be in that field. History, I don't know. It's tough. Go get something that excites you that most people don't want to do.
It's hard to do history when you have the internet now.
That is true. So,
it's basically just memorizing, which...
Well, there's probably more to it, like the application, but it's like if you're going to be a museum curator, it's very focused, and there's not very many jobs in it. And thousands of kids try to do it.
I could probably do that by, like, asking ChatGPT, like, 3 questions.
Maybe so. Now, engineering, you could probably do that, too. You could ask ChatGPT, write me a computer program, and it probably could. You got to take some of this with a grain of salt, but if you work yourself into a tough degree that most people aren't going to go for, then it limits the number of people that you actually have to compete against, right?
Uh-huh.
So, and there's money to be made in this technology that some people just don't want to learn how to do. So in the 90s, people would pay good money to have a tech guy build them a website. And it's actually not that hard. You just actually had to know how to write HTML, hypertext markup language. And if you did, you had a skill set that people just didn't want to go get, and you could charge a couple $1,000s for a website. Now, they've made the websites, you could, using like WordPress or something, you can use Scratch code and just drag and drop things around, and poof, you got a website.
Yeah,
Evie has made
a
website. Yeah. So you got a high school kid making websites. And you have a high school kid using AI. She is not afraid of it. She uses AI and a lot of her tools to help her through the dyslexia and other stuff.
Yeah.
And crushes it. And that's the skill sets that people are going to want. Any business owner that has a business, well, of course, if you're a business owner and have a business, you're going to want to know how to use AI in your business. And you got high schoolers that know how to use it.
One of my teachers, I was telling her how I use ChatGPT to help me with, like, my briefs and stuff. Basically to, like, help me find quotes that relate to a theme from, like, a passage. And I was telling her about it, and she was like, you're going to need to teach me how to do that. Because she's doing something with school, or I don't know.
Well, there is a place where you age yourself out, right? I'm 50. Do I really want to learn how to use AI? I mean, the answer to that one is yes. I use it. But there are people my age with businesses that are doing well, and they're like, I just don't want to take the time to do it. And rightly so. they should hire somebody to do that because they need to lead, not play around with technology. But I actually like technology, and the businesses I have don't really require like somebody to do it. It just could be me, and I'm fascinated by it. But okay, getting into college, take the hardest classes you can.
Yeah.
And it may not, so we struggle with this. It is not popular for a girl to be in STEM, and I'm seeing it firsthand.
Well, it's not. It's honestly, it's not that bad. It's kind of difficult when like the people that you're friends with are all in class and together like way more than like my friends aren't really in like a ton of my classes.
And you don't get to see them all the time.
Yeah, and I don't really get to like talk to them except for really at lunch and like after school or something.
So you use ChatGPT to figure out how to talk to them, don't you?
No. No, I like
But you make an effort.
but like it's definitely a little bit more difficult being in different classes, but like
Well, there's a stigmatism. They're like, girls do not go into math and science. I don't know why. That's weirdly, I met my wife because she was into math and science and she wanted to go to tech. So it's a good thing she did, or y'all wouldn't exist.
Yeah. Also, which is something that's like I didn't really know that as many people did this as they did as like sports. Like a lot of people try to go to college like through sports or whatever.
Right.
Which is like crazy.
Playing sports in college is tough. And here's
especially like I think I don't understand people who like don't try that much in school, but also like they're not really trying at their sports either. So they're just like kind of just doing nothing. Like.
If you don't have a plan, you're on somebody else's plan. And we need someone to flip burgers, and they're on that plan. You guys, you need to do a little bit of work. Parents, don't push them so hard that they just rebel, but help them understand that taking the tough class is good for them. I tell my kids, I've been saying it for years. Look, high school is a 4-year prison sentence. All you need to do is get through it. And you need to get all the education you can out of them so that you can go to college. When you go to college, you can pick any friends you want. You can tell the people who are assholes, no, I don't want to be friends with you, and just walk away.
Yeah.
It's great. And you can do that as an adult, which is great. So find the people that you fit with. Do the harder thing. Take the harder classes. Parents, so I would recommend this as well. There are services out there that will help your kid take a test. If you can afford it, great. If you can't, there's free ways to do it, but have them take the SAT and the ACT and get a feel for which one they're doing better at. And then just hammer down that. Just leave the other one alone and go to town and take it as many times as you can.
Like, I wouldn't take the ACT just once and like study a bunch and just take it once. Like, I would take it multiple times and study while I take it.
True, and they do this thing called super scoring. What is that?
Oh, it's they compile all of your best, all your best scores for each section. So if I took it once and I got 34 in math and a 20 something in everything else, and then I took it again and I got a 34 in English, they would compile all of my highest grades and that would be my score, my super score.
Right. And so the SAT, there's only 2 sections, math and verbal. But on the ACT, there's 5 sections?
4.
4 sections.
There's English, math, science, and reading.
Yeah, 4. And then you can take the essay portion. We never did those. But so I think the part that I really enjoyed about the ACT for y'all was, especially watching Levi, he had on, I think it was his English, was for whatever reason, or was it a science? That's it.
It was his science. He just got a crazy high score.
He just couldn't get the science to work.
Wait.
He kept getting a 23 on his science.
Oh.
And then he retook it one time and got a 33 in science and a 36 in English, which then brought his super score up to 34.
Yeah.
So you can mix and match. And then, and he knew, I need to study just this science to make sure I can really bump it up. So the last time he took it, we gave him some specific help. He had a booklet or something online, and he just went through a bunch of questions, and he helped himself. So help them. It's a test, and you can study for it, and it matters.
Yeah.
I would say, according to the lady or the guys that I've talked to and the lady at Auburn that I talked to, it's probably 40% of what matters is that test. And of course 60% would then be your grades. Well, maybe not 60%. And there's a couple percent that they care about the essay, but not too much.
Yeah.
The other thing that I've been told, and my kids never did a great job with this one, was be involved in volunteering and doing other stuff starting your freshman year. Maybe it's sports, maybe it's an engagement over the summer that you're doing. Like I know Levi did a bunch of the summer strength with us at the gym, and so he was able to utilize that as part of his resume or the application to UGA. So have something that says this is who I am. They don't want just well-rounded kids. They want a kid who actually has a very specific focus that they could then bring to their school. So yes, I'm well-rounded, but I also love ... whatever it's going to be. And that's something that's going to interest them on your essay. Okay, so take hard classes. Take AP, that's advanced placement. You're going to get those to your school. Then there's dual enrollment. And typically your high school is attached to some other college. I think around us is probably going to be KSU. And then when you take a dual enrollment class, you either take it online or you can actually go to the college to take it.
Yeah.
So Evie and I went to KSU to talk to them. They had a meet and greet for any kids that are interested in doing dual enrollment. And it looks like the state will actually pay for up to 30 hours of dual enrollment, which technically would be one
like
full
30
year.
Credits.
That's it, 30 credit hours.
Yeah, and they can have like you do like hybrid or like online and stuff. So you can take it online or you can like go. Did you already say that?
Yeah. So you can take it online or go there in class. The nice part there is you can mix it up. You can do some DE and some AP and then some just regular if you needed to. I've known families that had their kid finish their senior year at KSU. One did everything online, never went in. Another went in and they were just associated with their high school. And they only had to go to the high school one time. One had to take some sort of standardized test and the other had to go in to get something checked off for some attendance thing for the school. I forgot what it was.
Or like, I don't know, had to talk to the counselor.
That's what it was. They had to go and have a counselor meeting. Mm-hmm. So I guess check the box. But they actually finished their senior year without ever really going into high school but one time. So it is possible to get that done. We also have another friend whose kid does some dual enrollment and some online, Georgia Virtual. So you can do that too. Okay, so high school is important. The college you get into, I don't think it really matters as much as we want it to. We fight for this. We got to get our kids into the best school. I don't know, do we? What we really want them to do is get a good education so they don't live in our basement. If they're going to do any type of STEM, they're going to get paid well when they come out. And they're not going to they may live in your basement for a little bit, but make sure you have a road to kick them out so they can go and be free. We want them to succeed. We want them to have the cash to live on. A book. Well, I first heard it in a podcast from a friend, Reed Trago, and then I got the book or the booklet and listened to it. There's a guy who does the talk about money, and I love his point. It's when you get that first real big check, make sure you only live on 70%. Don't live on 80% or 100%. Make 70% the actual 100% and take that 30% and do something else with it. Yeah. Invest it, give, all that stuff, so that you never live at your means, and then you never are tempted to go above the means. Okay, so now when you get into college, here's something that they never tell you. So your grades in high school matter so much. The SAT, ACT matters so much. But when you get into college, your grades do matter, but if you ever want to hide, what's that?
Not as much. Not
as much. If you want to hide bad grades or I didn't really do so well, then
do an internship.
That's it. Get some work experience. Intern, co-op, take a little bit extra time at college, put some work under your belt, and they're going to be like, hey, that's like pretty interesting. What did you do? Now make it work experience that counts. It is not flipping burgers. It is, I'm a chemical engineer that then went to work for abcchemicalco.com, right? Whatever. And you did something in your major, even if it's just shuffling papers. Go there, learn, and it's going to matter a lot, especially if you want to make yourself a little bit different than every other student, or I want to hide some of the grades that I got that I'm not too proud of.
Yeah.
Now, something else that I found with Olivia, this was not true at Georgia Tech, but it's definitely true at Auburn. She had some grades that are, 2 classes had some computer programming in it, and she's not great at that, and so she didn't do well. The school said, hey, you got to retake those classes, which is awesome, because now instead of having a bad grade, she's retaking a class she's already taken, so she's probably going to get an A or a B in this class in this next semester. So now her GPA is going to get boosted back up rather than having some bad grades in it, right? So that's pretty cool. And I think at Georgia Tech, they just said, well, that sucks for you. You have a D, right? Actually, maybe some of them you actually had to get at least a C to actually pass through it. But they definitely did not take the D away. All right, so get some work experience. Go to school knowing it's going to take, if you're doing STEM, it's going to take more than 4 years. That's okay. Stay in state, let them pay for it. You can actually go in state with DE credits and come in as either a sophomore or almost a sophomore.
Yeah, didn't Evan enter his and Evan came to UGA with 30-something credits.
Yeah,
right?
So I think technically he was
technically a sophomore.
Sophomore.
But he was
still
in his
a freshman,
year.
Or maybe it was 28. It was something, it was really close to that.
It was a lot of credits.
So you can come in with those credits. Now, UGA, sorry, not UGA, the Zell-Miller program or in the HOPE program only pays for an undergraduate degree. So once you graduate, you're done. But my sister's friend actually did her 30 hours of DE credits, went to college, did her undergraduate in 2 or 3 years. I remember what it was. She did one of those double dogs like at UGA. So you're getting your undergraduate and your graduate degree at the same time. And she didn't finish her last undergraduate degree to graduate. She instead waited to the very end so she could get all of her graduate classes in, and then got both degrees at the exact same time, and the Hope Scholarship paid for it the whole time. Oh, look at that. We're in LaGrange right now, and we're passing. Is that the Great Wolf Lodge? It's not the Great Wolf Lodge. But there's a huge,
like
sure looks like it.
That's I'm pretty sure that's
the Great Wolf Lodge?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. So right off, if you're driving through near LaGrange, Georgia, the Great Wolf Lodge is right off the exit or the interstate at exit 13.
I remember some of those slides and the colors.
And it is a fun place. The one in North Carolina is bigger, maybe more fun, but if you're in Georgia, this is really close.
It's more fun when you're little. Though.
True. How little?
Like elementary school.
Sure.
Middle school.
Make sure you know how to swim.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably valid. So,
well, you can wear a life jacket.
That's true. They have life jackets. Anyway, you can get school paid for even through the graduate degree if you're smart with how you apply your hours. Okay, again, doesn't really matter, I don't think, which college you go to. I've got friends. I have a buddy who got an English degree and then taught himself the program, and now he does computer programming all the time. So it is possible to self-teach yourself. That sounded weird. And then really progress in life, but it is tough if you go in with party attitude. Like Olivia, this is something that I didn't consider when she went to Auburn. So at Georgia Tech, 99% of the population at Georgia Tech is doing engineering.
Yeah.
So everyone has a problem doing anything fun because we're all doing hard stuff.
Yes.
Even the international affairs and business majors, it's pretty tough, and they study a lot as well. I mean, not as much, but it's still tough. So Olivia's at Auburn. She's in a sorority, and her sorority sisters are like, hey, let's go out Monday, let's go out Tuesday, let's go out Wednesday. And it's always the same girls that are going out, which is great, have some fun. But she's like, Dad, I can't do that. I'm like, you know what? I didn't consider that while you're in chemical engineering, one of the hardest degrees that I know of, and having to study and work hard, your friend, Tina, isn't she in dance? She's like, yeah. I'm like, well, I don't know if she has that much homework. So she's out of college.
Yeah.
So UGA and Auburn are going to have this problem, KSU as well. You're going to be mixed in with kids doing everything, which is great, except, I mean, let's face it, doing well, for me, history would be super tough. Engineering is not as tough as trying to do history for me. But in general, a history degree is a lot easier than, I don't know, chemical engineering.
It's also a little bit like that in high school, because I will say, if you're doing a little bit harder classes than some of your friends just they can go out and have fun all the time, but you have to study.
That's true.
I mean,
I don't see you study that much, so.
Not really me, but I have friends that one of my friends, she had of just a bunch of tests, but she had planned something fun. No, she had a volleyball tournament that weekend, and it was just crazy because she had everything just bunched up in that one weekend was just really important, and it was either she gets she gets okay grades in all of her stuff, and she has some fun, or she has to stay home and just study all weekend so she can get good grades. But
right.
It's just difficult.
That does make it tough. And sports,
with sports, yeah.
I love the fact that sports are a great pressure on a kid, and it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So if you skipped the tournament, no one's going to die. No one's going to care.
Yeah, especially if you're not going to school for, college for sports.
And that's actually one that Olivia or Evie brought up is kids that really work hard to play sports in college. Man, if it gets you into college, I know kids who've said, I'm going to play, I forgot where it was. But let's say I'm going to play soccer at Clemson. And they're like, I have no intention of playing soccer at Clemson. But once I get in, I'm going to be like, hey, I quit. Or you can keep the scholarship. I don't need it. I just wanted to get into Clemson or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So they use the sport to get in. Hey, good on you, right? I'm going to give you a couple pieces of advice on getting into college. That is one of them.
I know people who are they can get into the college they want by studying, but instead they're going to try to go in through sports, which is,
Playing sports in college is tough.
And they're doing it for the scholarship, but to be honest, you have the money to do it. The people I know.
Well, especially if you're in state, so it's $1,500. Now there's other things that go into it, and there are school loans. But you were correct. If you're at Fellowship Christian,
sometimes
then you probably have the money to go to whatever college you want. That's a different problem. So I love that problem, and this is the problem that So her mom and I both are STEM kids. Went to Georgia Tech. Got a hard degree, worked hard, made some money, right? And we have a good problem, which is, hey, we can send you to college. Now, I'm telling you, I would rather pay Evans $1,500 than Olivia's $15,000.
Yeah.
And it makes me cry, but, I know she won't live in the basement, so I'm into investing into her life.
Yeah.
And we put money aside as we went through life. So we made some plans ahead of time. Use a 529, get people to donate to it. Okay, so playing sports in college is tough, especially if you're going to go and say, you know what, I could go to one of these 3 schools for STEM and get a computer science degree, but instead I'm going to go to Timothy University and play football.
Yeah.
And because that's going to matter. It's probably never going to matter.
Also, I would say if you're playing sports just to do something hang out with your friends, I know people who don't want to go to college for football, but they're doing football, but our football program is so much work, so they're having to sacrifice some of their grades and their free time to play football when they don't even want to they're going to college for their smarts and stuff, not their footballness or whatever. So they're essentially just kind of wasting their time, I guess, if you really love it.
Well, that's the thing. So remember, boys are different, and we like to conquest. So even I played sports knowing that I was never going to do anything. I was my senior year, I was heck yeah.
I would just do something easier, I would just run cross country, because that does not take up any time.
Well, there is some truth to that. I mean, it's
a sport,
a team sport can be much more dynamic, because if you don't work as a team, you got to bail. But in cross country, or let's say wrestling, it's just you and the other kid, or you in the field. You just do your thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, going to play sports in college is tough. I tried, and I think I've mentioned this before. The average professional pole vaulter,
it's $0.
makes nothing. So go get your degree. All right. So the next thing, every kid wants to apply to get into school for the fall. All you have to do to make it a little bit easier on yourself is apply for summer school. So Evan's got a buddy who, for whatever reason, I don't remember exactly why he did it, but he chose to apply to Georgia Tech for entering in the summer. And they're yes. They were immediately yes. And he's oh man, I think I meant to do that for the fall, or I don't know what it was. But he's in. Would he have gotten in for the fall? Maybe. I don't know. But if you went for the summer, not many kids go there. So I was asking, it was somebody at UGA, I can't remember who it was. Anyway, they said, we're going to get 40,000 applications for our freshman year. It's not 40,000, but it's a lot. Starting in the fall. But we're going to get 4,000 applications for the summer.
Yeah.
So it is way easier to get in here for the summer. Now, I met a fellow who said his kid is going to graduate high school in December and then start school in spring. So yes, if it matters to you that much, you could try that path. You could say, let me get all my credits in. It's hard to do if you're going to do AP classes, but you could double up with some DE. That'd be easier.
Or summer school.
What's that?
Or summer school.
Yes, but usually they don't do AP classes in the summer. So if you want AP classes, you're going to just graduate when everyone else is. But you can still use the summer option to get ahead of the line. And now you're not a fall freshman, you're a summer freshman, and there's just a whole lot less competition.
Yeah.
So you've just whittled down your field.
Going like at weird times and like making your college like experience like not typical, it does kind of make it harder to like on like the friends thing. Like it makes it harder to like get like friends because everyone's already like in a
It could.
friend group.
So I think what happens in the summer school is once you're done with your freshman summer, you get lumped in with everybody else as a fall freshman. So I don't know if in college it matters as much, but you're right. If you get off track, like I know at Georgia Tech, I took classes in a weird order. And so the kids that I would study with the next year became the kids I couldn't study with because I chose to keep all of my electives until the very end. So my last year would be super easy. Of course, I was at school for 6 years. But so I pushed harder to get through the double E classes. And I guess know this too. When you go to college, there are some classes that are known to be weed out classes in general, and then for your major weed out classes. So there was for electrical engineering, there was a class electromagnetism, so they called it EMAG. And the kids referred to it as EMAG, REMAG, and 3MAG. So most of the double E's had to take the class 3 times just to pass it. And yeah, it was hard.
Yeah.
So, okay, so go for the summer. Look at your schedule. Maybe you can even sign up for spring if you can graduate early. I didn't even know that was a thing that you could try to graduate in December, which, I mean, I guess looking back on it, I should have known that because there's something called the GED. So graduation equivalent diploma or something like that. So you take a test to say I graduated from high school. I don't think it's a great way to go if you want to go to a tougher school to get into. I think you need to have all the other pieces and parts. You could also transfer in. We have a good friend who went to KSU for a year and then transferred into Georgia Tech. So that happens as well. It's a little bit harder, I think you're saying, with friends, but he joined a fraternity and seems to be having a good time. So, you know, as long as you put your best foot forward and try, I think you can make up some of those, that time. Okay, so that's us on college and high school. Kids, work hard. It does matter. Here's some other things, parents, tell your kids this, right? I know you probably already have. Have a good handshake. If you're given the limp fish when you handshake, then no. Know how to call somebody up on the phone and talk to them. Know how to order dinner on your own. Know how to get up in front of the waiter or the hostess and say, hey, McCann, party of 6, right? Know how to talk to people. It's super important. Let's see, that guy is trying to be dumb. Let's see, they closed down exit 79. And this guy really wanted to get off on exit 79, and he just messed us all up because now he's on the interstate going 40 miles an hour.
Smart.
Yeah, that didn't work out for us. So here's another piece of advice. If you miss your exit, do not pull over to the emergency lane and then back up on the interstate to get off the exit.
Yeah.
You probably shouldn't go to college if you do that. So take hard classes, work hard, have a good handshake, say yes sir, say no sir. Read some stuff, like talk to adults. If you can't talk to adults right now, you're probably in trouble. Start learning to talk to adults, or learn to have a conversation. Find something that interests you, start to volunteer. If it's a sport, great. If it's not a sport, then find something else to fill your time. If you're doing absolutely nothing, then that's not gonna look great on your application. You need to have a story to write about. Take some of the harder classes. When you get to college, yes, it is fun. But if you do everything in fun, then your pass will be revoked and you'll get kicked out, right? So you have to maintain a certain GPA even to stay in school. So make sure you stay in school. Understand where you can get help. Usually schools are really good with tutoring and extra advice. Utilize it. Understand where the scholarships are. When I was at Georgia Tech, I kept applying for scholarships to see if I could get any, and accidentally got a bunch my senior year because I had a lot of stuff under my belt. And they're like, yeah, this kid seems cool or whatever. I don't know why they picked me, but I got several $1,000s in scholarships for my last year, which the Hope Scholarship was paying for. So I didn't really specifically need it, but I guess they needed to give it to somebody, right? What else would you like to say? I did a lot of talking, but that's my thing, right? I just run my mouth.
Yeah.
How about this?
I don't know.
Don't worry too much. Write a plan. Work the plan.
Maybe worry a teeny bit.
Sure.
Don't don't be so unbothered that you get grades that are lower than what you can make. But if you don't like to kill yourself to get like an A, you know, if you can't make an A, you can't make an A.
Right. And I would lean everyone towards STEM. I told my kids, and I didn't necessarily mean it, but I said, if you don't go to school for some sort of science, engineering, math, computer, whatever, I'm not paying for it. It's not necessarily true. I probably would have been okay if they did something, but I would have really had the conversation of how many people go to UGA for communications. I'm going to say it's multiples of thousands of kids are in the communications degree.
Yeah.
How many kids go to UGA for mechanical engineering?
How many kids
Maybe
like
1,000.
go and get like business degrees versus like
Thousands get business degree,
degrees.
whereas like I think their engineering school is only a couple thousand. Even at Georgia Tech, it's only like 10,000, 12,000 student body, and not even all of them are engineers. It's just harder to do. Yes, I know you're like, well, I don't like it. I mean, look.
Oh no.
Do
like
something you don't like and make the money. And then once you make the money, then do whatever the hell you want. You know
Like,
what
I feel
people who
like-
don't have money can't do? Whatever the hell they want. Unless you want to go
I've
live
never
off the
met-
grid and like shoot deer and eat the meat. I don't know.
I've
But
never like met someone who like loves to go to work and like is happy to go just like sit at a desk and work. But like, if
sure,
you're gonna have to do something, at least do something that makes money.
that is true. Make the money and then turn that money into whatever you want. There's a great book out there called Tribe of Mentors by Tim Ferriss. And there are two stories in there that really caught my attention. One was a lawyer that then became a painter or a pianist or something. And he said, I really wish I would have become a pianist. And so he's living a good life. He has a lot of money, but he has this passion, right? And then there was an artist who then, I think did something, went back to school or did something and made some money. He said, I really wish I would have made money first. That way I could have supported my art. So both of them said they wished they had done the other thing. But the one that had it right was a guy who had money and can do whatever the hell he wanted. The other guy struggled his whole life and then turned a corner to do some sort of business. So take the money and run, right? Leonard Skinner? No, that's not Leonard Skinner. I don't know. Make the money and invest in yourself, invest in rental properties, invest in the things that are smart.
Yeah.
And don't spend it all. Get out of debt. And then you can do whatever you want. Nobody can say anything.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's our 2 cents. We're headed to Auburn, where I'm glad that my daughter's doing chemical engineering. It's a really tough degree, and she's struggling, but that's a great struggle. She's going to get out, make good money, and not live in my basement. And I think I'll be able to say I did okay as a dad. And she did say, come see me. So I feel like I'm doing okay as a dad.
Yeah.
And my other daughter said, yeah, I'll go with you. But I think that might be more to see Olivia than it is to hang out with me.
I mean,
You're on record here. Better say you to hang out with me.
no, yeah. No, yeah.
That's it? That's it. All right, guys. If you take offense to any of this stuff, good. Go out and get yourself a really good job where you can make a lot of money. And who cares if you hate it? Make the money and then go do whatever the hell you want.
At least you'll be rich.
Yeah. So that's true. It's a fact. Money does not buy happiness. But when you're in your boat bouncing up and down on Lake Lanier through the waves and there's a smile on your face, you're happy.
Yeah.
So get that money. All right, guys. Take care.